Hello, my name is Hunter Orge, and today we'll be talking about the pros and cons of AI. Okay, so first, we'll talk about what artificial intelligence really is, right? A basic introduction to it. Artificial intelligence, or better known as AI, refers to machines that perform tasks typically requiring human intelligence or thought process. This can include learning from data, recognizing patterns, understanding language, and then using that data to make decisions. As of today, there are many different ways in which you may encounter AI. For example, when you ask Siri a question, that's AI. It is taking data and it's transferring it into information and then making decisions on what the answer should be. Another good example is something like Netflix's recommended section. That takes a bunch of data of people who've watched the shows and either liked or disliked them, and it pulls that together and then it recommends based on that information. With that, AI is also already used in many different industries, such as healthcare, education, finance, and even creative industries like art and writing. As we can see today, there are many AI created pictures and videos, which is pretty amazing. So what's the main idea of this presentation? Well, the main idea of the presentation is to kind of discuss some of the entry level pros and cons of AI. While as it's expanding, there are many conversations going on about both the pros and positives of AI, as well as some of the cons and some of the things that can negatively be affected by AI. For example, there are a few examples, right? Right now, AI is having benefits in both healthcare with the way it's saving lives, as well as efficiency and improving quality of life in many different aspects. But with that being said, it also introduces serious ethical risks. Things such as bias, job loss, and illegal surveillance may breach the gap on what is ethically right to do. It is also critical that we don't just focus on the innovation of AI, but we also focus on the responsibility that we as humans hold in creating AI and teaching it what to do. We must not just ask what AI can do, but we should ask what it should do. So let's talk about AI in daily life. As of today, AI is woven into our daily lives in many different ways. Voice assistants like Siri and Alexa interpret speech and provide information and recommendations based on what you've asked. Recommendation engines suggest music or videos based on your habits or preferences. This is in like things like YouTube and Spotify, where when you have your homepage for both, it recommends on based on whatever data it's gathered over your preferences and habits when listening or watching. Apps like Google Maps use real-time data to reroute traffic. This is really helpful nowadays when we have traffic and traffic buildups or road closures. It's able to take that data and use it quickly and then reroute you, get you there faster. Even something such as your email spam filter sometimes is powered by AI. It makes life a lot easier, but also means that we are relying more and more on machines in our daily lives. We are allowing it to shape what we see, hear, and consume in our daily life, which makes it more efficient and easy, but also can come with some concerns and worries that we're relying too much on it. Next, we'll talk about AI in healthcare. AI in healthcare and medicine is making a huge impact and being utilized at a more and more increasing rate. Algorithms can detect diseases like cancer in medical images at a much faster rate than human doctors. This is especially important when cancer is a time-dependent disease, and the quicker you can catch it, the better chances are for survival and treatment in that. Robot-assisted surgeries are also becoming more precise and are also being used more and more. AI also helps researchers develop new vaccines and medicines. This was used actually during the COVID-19 pandemic where AI was used to help develop that vaccine, especially when we were on a tight time limit and we needed to move fast. With this, personalized medicine where treatments are tailored to your biology is also becoming more and more common. Between apps and websites and other things like that, which utilize AI, they are becoming a much more common commodity. AI really does have the potential to save so many lives and help so many people. With that being said, there are also downfalls. AI is a program, so that means there could have errors or faults, which, when talking about people's lives, is a problem, especially if it cannot fix its faults like a human doctor can. If a human doctor were to make a mistake, he or she might be able to quickly fix the mistake. But if the AI is only programmed to do one thing, if it were to have an error, it might just shut down, causing human lives to be lost instead of saving them. So this is just one example that shows while it is very beneficial, sometimes it can also be dangerous, and we need to find that fine line between them. Okay, so now we'll talk about some of the problems with AI and some of the ethical dilemmas that might come with AI itself. One problem that might come with AI is just bias in general, such as biased data means a biased AI. So if you have biased data that somebody provides an AI, the AI becomes biased to whatever that data is. This means there's possibility of discrimination or sexism, any sort of bias that people may have, whether good or bad, it could happen. There's the possibility of discrimination in things like facial recognition or in discrimination in job applications. A lot of times now, most companies are using AI software to help with their job applications to weed out people. But if that AI is programmed to bias a certain gender, race, or just individual, then that becomes bias and it can cause problems. At the same clip, at the same clip, AI can even cause bias in multiple procedures that may happen even in healthcare or other things because if it's given biased data, it'll cause it to be biased. One example of AI being biased is when Amazon first tried using AI and their job applications, it ended up being trained to reject female applicants because it was more focused on male-dominated hiring data, which caused it to predominantly push through male applications over female applications. Another ethical dilemma we can talk about is job loss, because as AI continues to get better and develop, it's also replacing human jobs that were once needed and may not now be needed, such as self-driving trucks to AI chatbots, which reduce the need for customer service reps. The advancement of AI is making waves in many different career fields. Even something as journalism can now be impacted as AI can now write news briefs. If you think about it, AI is able to do something faster, more efficiently, and doesn't need sleep, break, or to be paid. So, for companies and corporations who are more worried about profit, this is becoming beneficial for them. Another big thing we have to worry about right now is privacy and surveillance. With today everything being so digital, it's not even just AI that we have to worry about, but most of our apps on our phones and our phones in general are honestly tracking us in multiple different ways. Something so basic as tracking what we search on Google to tracking our details and bank information and what we're spending money on. This doesn't even include things like AI. For example, in China, AI-driven systems are being used to monitor citizens using facial recognition and social scores. But it's really not just them. Even in the US, companies such as Meta have been seen to use AI to analyze online behavior and sell targeted ads. To me, I don't think that I really want my data to be sold and profited by a different company and them to be able to do it without even asking or just to use AI to interpret our data that's, what we're doing. Andrea Renda from the European Parliament notes that without regulation, AI can be exploited to violate rights and freedoms, and while targeted ads may not be the end of the world for some people, without regulation, it could stem to something much worse. This could breach more than just one set of somebody's privacy. Being able to access our data, everything we search, bank information, everything could lead not only to companies exploiting us, but also hackers who can steal that data and sell it for more and cause much harm to our finances, personal life, credit scores, all types of different things that they can harm. That being said, we do have some solutions that we can do to deal with this. First of all, we need transparency, and I believe this is a big thing that needs to be put into action with the continuous expansion of AI. I believe that companies should have to explain how their AI works as well as how it's being deployed. I think that this is a big one that companies typically don't like to show because they are using your data to profit, and this will cause, I think, waves, and a lot of people know that. We must also make sure we have a diverse and well-functioning team that are involved in designing AI. This is to make sure there's no bias in the programming, and as well as them being diverse, it also helps with just overall teamwork in doing it. And I also think that the team needs to have a good ethical outlook and not be designing AI for something which can cause harm. I think that their main goal in that team should be not to cause harm, but to do it for good and have the AI be good for good and not have malicious intent behind the coding or programming of the AI. I believe we also should have laws which outline certain ethical uses of AI, especially ones that are used to profit off of people or steal from people or anything like that. I think we need to come up with some new laws which help with this expansion of AI in general. To conclude, I believe that AI is a revolutionary tool. From the way that we've been able to rapidly design and enhance AI from what it was maybe just a couple of years ago to now, where we're using it in almost an everyday life in some sort of manner, is pretty impressive. From it being able to diagnose diseases, assist in daily tasks, and even solve global challenges, there's no limits to what AI can do. With that being said, with no limits, that means there can be bad things as well. It can cause harm, such as invading our privacy and replacing the need for humans in jobs. As the development of AI continues to expand and become more rooted in our everyday lives, we must take a moment and think about how we are using it now and how we plan to use it in our future. Do we really plan on relying on it for everything we use, or do we want to use it as just a tool that can help us in certain situations? Also, do we regulate it from being used to take advantage of people by governments and big companies? These are all good questions that we need to answer and which have honestly already been asked. So, with that being said, while there are a lot of good things and a lot of bad things, in the end, it's our responsibility as humans to determine really how good or bad AI will be. Because at the end of the day, AI is just a machine that we design. Daily tasks and